Today we're going to talk about values, and values are the lightness or darkness of a color. This video is in 4 sections. The first section, I'm going to show you the importance of value. Second, I'm going to show you the tips and tricks that I use to see value easier. Third, I'm going to show you how to make your own value scale. And fourth, I'm going to show you how to use that value scale in your own painting practice. Hello, welcome to the channel. I'm Naomi and I paint for a living. You can check out my work on TerrySalgado.com. My goal for this channel is to not just have you copy me as I paint, but to teach you the underlying concepts of art so that you can have the confidence to start your own painting practice. My first mini course is on color, and I've asked my friend Casey to learn along with you.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here. I haven't even touched a brush since high school. So as a recent empty nester, I'm so excited to learn something new. So thank you for having me.
Yes! I'm very excited to have you.
Yes, me too.
So let's get started.
Yay!
We're going to talk about values today. First, we're going to start with how important values are to a painting.
Okay.
I made 2 different samples, one of my own paintings. I traced and put onto blank canvas, and then I painted them 2 different ways. I tried to get realistic hue, which would be skin color, and then saturation, which it's not fully bright orange or whatever. However, these are not at all the correct values.
Okay, so what we're saying is that when we were looking at this, the hue is the outside.
Yeah.
And you're looking at the hue is the skin tone, lip color, and hair color.
Yeah.
Saturation is how dull it gets and how bright. Am I explaining that right?
You are exactly.
So this has saturation of the light and dullness and the brightness of that hue. But now value is when you start getting into
the lightness and the darkness.
Okay.
So
okay.
This other example that I made has the values correct, but not the hue and not the saturation. So we have green and pink and purple and all kinds of colors that are incorrect on here. And the saturation is not correct either, because these are mostly fully saturated pigments, and that's not usually on a skin.
Yes.
However, the only thing that's correct here is the value.
So it's the light and dark of that color, of that hue.
Yes,
okay.
It's the lightness and darkness. So in the shadow, you see the darker shades, and in the light, you see the lighter shades. Okay. It does happen, the temperature is also correct, which we'll talk about next week.
Okay.
We don't know about temperature yet, but this is mostly showing how impactful values are.
So value is going to show the shadows.
Yes.
The depth. It makes it look like a 3D picture versus a flat.
Yes. That looks
a flat picture versus having, like now in this one, you can really take a depth of her cheekbones and jawline, for example.
Yes.
And shadowing around the nose and eyes and whatever. Okay.
Okay.
So how do you find the value in a picture?
Yes. Yeah. Full disclosure, I kind of have a hard time seeing value. So I've looked for all kinds of tricks along the way to help me. I have come up with 4. Maybe there's more out there, and if you know a trick of how to see value, leave in the comment section below. But these are the 4 that I know about. So my first one that I rely on the most are my eyes. And I squint them down real hard and just look through the lashes. And that kind of cuts off the color and the detail. And you're just kind of seeing kind of blurry shapes of light and dark. And I use that a lot when I paint.
So it gets rid of the hue, just so you can kind of see where those lights and darks are, like in a cheekbone or the jawline.
Yes.
For example.
Yep. Or even when you're out painting a landscape. You can use it in all different situations. It's really handy because you never forget them at home, right?
Easy to turn and look and do that quick and then continue.
Exactly.
Okay.
Tool number 2 I use is this little red thing here. It's a value finder. It cuts out the red from any painting because it absorbs it through the glass, right?
Oh, so here, why don't I hang this up and how about you hold that? And I'll just do this quick and we'll see if we can.
Sure. Why don't we hold up both of them and you can kind of see, just hold it in front of the lens there and show everyone what it looks like.
Oh, yes.
Cool?
Wow. Very cool.
Cool.
Yes.
So that works. It doesn't work for red very well. So if you have like a red barn you're using, maybe that's not the tool for you.
Do you need any other color of this, or is this still the one you'd want? This is still the best?
Well, I don't have any other color. That's how they sell them.
Okay, this is the way it is. Okay,
yep.
Perfect.
You can get those at the art store. I bought this at Wet Paint in St. Paul. I think it was $6. Handy little tool. Yeah. Third tool I use is my my cell phone actually. I can't show you because I'm filming on my cell phone, but you take a picture and you go to edit mode, and then the 3 little circles that interlock, hit that and then swipe over to where it says mono, and then that'll turn that photo to grayscale. That's only handy in certain situations where the lighting is consistent throughout. So if you're out on a landscape and you have a bright sunny sky with some shadows, it's not going to work so well because it makes the shadows darker and the sky too bright. It somehow can't bring those two together. It's really good for this consistent lighting condition. Like on your palette, you want to compare the colors on the palette. You can take a photo of your painting and turn it to black and white and then compare the value of your painting. Good way to test myself. Did I see those values correctly or not? Is a reinforcer for my squinting. I tend to use those two things together, like squint, but then I verify with the phone. Does that make sense?
It does.
And then the 4th tool I use is this one. And it's kind of like a training tool, but I also will hold my palette knife up to this and like gauge where we're at for the value.
Okay.
And this is what we're going to make today in our 3rd section of the video. All right, for our project today, we need a few supplies. So here's some palette paper. You can also use wax paper or any other palette that you're using. You need a board or canvas paper or stretched canvas. Size between 11 by 14 to 12 by 16 is a good size. You want your paint colors out that we've been using: cerulean blue, ultramarine blue, quinacridone violet or magenta or alizarin crimson, cadmium red or naphtha red, cadmium yellow, cadmium lemon or Hansa yellow, and titanium white. You will need your white today. Today you really kind of will want a palette knife. I've been saying you probably can get by without one, but this is going to shave hours off of your project. And then a single brush will work great. A pen, we just used a pen and a ruler to trace on here, so you'll need that. And tape if you need to tape down your wax paper, or if you have canvas paper and you need to tape that down. Some solvent to rinse your brush between colors, and you also need paper towel and a plastic bag to throw it in. That's all we need to do our project today. So first step, draw the grid on here that we need. So you kind of take a look at your board size. You can use any size board that you want. You just want to have 9 rows across plus 1 big one for the words. And then going this way, however many tubes of paint you have, plus the numbers. So we have 7 colors we want to test plus the numbers, so that's 8 across this way. And then we want 9 plus 1 is 10 across that way. We're going to number this in reverse order, starting 1 on the end. This is the lightest. 1, 2, 3, 9. And then we're going to name our colors going down. The top one is neutral. And then this one is cerulean. And then this one is ultramarine. And this one is quinacridone violet. Cadmium red.
I'm gonna wash my hands real quick.
Cadmium yellow. So we'll put colors out. We're putting it in order of the spectrum again. White, we're going to put white over here in the corner so that it doesn't get as contaminated. First step is to mix neutral, the darkest one. So what we're going to do is take the darkest blue. We don't need every single color. We just need the darkest version of each color. So we'll take the darkest red and the darkest blue. This we know makes what? A purple. So we don't want purple. We actually want neutral. So we'll take the darkest yellow to neutralize it, which will lighten it a tiny bit.
And yellow's on the opposite side of the purple. That's why you wanted to get the yellow.
Yes,
Okay.
you're right. Thank you.
Just-
I put too much yellow, so it looks kind of brownish. Kind of looks yellow, biased. So now we have to add blue and red again. To save a little time in this video, I've cut off the rest of mixing a neutral. If you'd like to review how to do that, I've put a link above to the previous episode where we talk about that. It looks nice and dark.
And then remind me why you add the white.
Oh, so you can see what is underneath there, because sometimes in that dark it could be any bias and you can't really tell which bias. And
So adding the white neutralizes everything and only shows what's pulling through, what the most dominant irregularity is.
yes,
So
yeah,
this
you'll
one
be
was-
able to see it a
Okay.
little better of where it's kind of heading towards. And what we'll do is take a bunch on our knife and put out little piles of it. As you go along, it'll get less and less, and we need 9 piles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now we're going to take white on the side and put the biggest pile, then get less as we go. Before we get started, we want that first color to go in the darkest one, number 9. So the reason we're doing neutral first is this sets the standard for all the other colors. We need to make sure this one is right because all the others will be compared against it. So now I went back to the upper end and we're going to try and make the lightest color possible that we can without being completely true white. We're just having the incy bit hint of this color. We have to mix everything in between, and we want it to be like you're going down the stairs and you want each little step to be equally far. You know, you don't want any big leap one step and then a tiny leap the next one. I think this is already too dark, so I'm taking this one as my second one because I think this is a better step than that one. And this one will make a better number 3. I like all these steps, except here, they're too close.
Yeah.
So now I have to adjust back going this way. So this is the next step up from that. So I have to leave that one there. So
Is this one your number 9?
This is number 9.
Okay.
So that I left that on there to compare. And then this is one step up. So now I need to get this one step up from here.
Yeah, you gotta get that one in between the two.
And I don't know if I'll be able to because this I think is maybe one step up. So this maybe has to come up a little too. That came up too far. This is a big jump too, so I may have to start up there and work down. Sometimes there's too much paint in there for the white to make a difference. If that's the case, you don't want to keep adding and you'll waste your paint. So just pull some out to reduce the concentration so that this has a better mixing power. So it goes 1, 2, 3, 4 could lighten just a bit, and then it would fit maybe.
Well, the good news is that you know how to keep working with it and what to pull to get there. So
Yeah,
if
it's very
anything-
easy.
if
To go
anything,
darker,
a
you
great
get.
lesson is you just know.
Yeah, there's no that's the nice thing about this is every mistake is very.
Everything can be fixed.
Yeah, exactly. You need to get lighter, okay, we'll take either a lighter color or white. If you need to get darker, take either a darker color or the full neutral. This is going to, all the others depend on this one.
Right.
So this is the standard by which all others will be compared to. So these steps have to be as exact as possible.
Definitely looks gradual to an untrained eye, but watching you play with them, I can see what you see.
And now to check it. Now my eye thinks that these look really good. To check it, you can take your red thing and look. And I think that looks good. Now we're just going to paint them in. This is the easy part, the fun part. I'm going to start with the lightest color because then it's going to require less brush washing. And you want to wipe off your brush so that there isn't excess pigment, but you don't have to actually wash it because it won't absorb new colors. You know what I mean? Because you're staying in the same family. Between families, that's when you really need to wash your brush. So 1, 2, 3, 4 goes in 4. Want to try and remember where your piles are. The right pile goes into the right square. I'm going to teach you a palette management trick. This work surface we just used for this, we're going to clean it all up and use it for the next color. So we're going to take the top 3 things and we're going to put those in one little pile over here on the right hand side. We're going to take the next 3 and any color used like that, and we're going to put those in the middle pile, and then we're going to take the dark ones and anything used to make that, put it here in the bottom pile. Then we're going to take our paper towel and clean our palette. There. Now we're going to repeat the same exact process with our first color, cerulean blue. So we can wash our brush really well, and we can actually just paint the first one on there. But before we can paint it, we need to make sure we figure out which one it belongs in. We'll first try squinting to see if we can figure it out. So I'm holding the palette knife in front of that color and then squinting my eyes to see where it disappears. Sometimes it'll seem lighter, or sometimes it'll seem darker than the one behind it. And you want to try that? And then squint real hard and see, where does it disappear? Where is it lighter than it? Where is it darker than it? So the one in between there should be disappearing. 8.
Yeah, I feel like I can still see it in the 9, but I can see it in the 7, so 8.
Yep, that's where my eye was putting it too.
And that does work, that trick.
That trick does work,
Yes.
yeah. It's amazing, right?
Yes.
So we're gonna put the base color right here in 8. And if it's not working, if you're not able to see it, the other thing is to take your phone, take a picture of it, and then turn it black and white. So Casey's
Just
doing
for,
that right now with her phone to check. Now we're going to take blue. This is the only time we'll be using cerulean blue from here on out. So we can use all of it, leave some at the bottom for mixing, and then put a little degradation. So we started at 8, so now we're not doing 9 anymore, we're doing 8 piles. So 8 is our bottom one, so this is 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now we'll start with white. 7, 6, 5, 4. Sometimes it's better, even though I know that's too light, but sometimes it's just better to like leave it. Okay, I'll deal with it. I know it's a problem. I'll come back. So now we have 2 to compare to. We compare to each other, but now we also compare to here. So we're comparing this way and sideways.
Right.
So that's why this is so important, because it's now the reference for everything.
So you're making sure that like voids out.
So I'm holding it up here. I'm saying, is it darker than this? Good, it should be, because it should be number 2. Is it lighter than this? Good, it should be, because it should be number 2. So now I know that the 2 is accurate. Now I'm going to do 3. Is that right? I think so. Let's check it. Yep, it's darker than 2. Yep, it's lighter than 4, so we're in the 3 ballpark. I think we're good. I think we're in business. So now we'll start again with the light side. It's like studying for a test. You think you try your best and then you test yourself. Okay, did I get it right? If you didn't, how you correct it is you scrape it off and then remix and then put it back on. No big deal if you don't get it right. Isn't that the great thing about art?
Yeah. Like we talked about previously, you just have to start. Get your stuff open. So you have to do that again. You put the lights together and then the mediums together.
Yep.
7, 8, 9.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And that is just to, instead of throwing away the paint, it's still kind of usable.
You're right about using a palette knife versus a brush. This would be way harder with a brush.
Yeah. And I
Easier
didn't
to
think of that
clean.
when I gave the supply list thing, If I had to go back, I would make that video and say, just get the palette
Get
knife.
the palette knife.
These are about $8.
Oh, definitely. If you're
Yeah,
spending
that's
all that
worth
money,
it.
it'll
Yeah.
save you so much time.
And paint. I think,
and paint.
yeah.
And you just wipe it off. It's not getting in the brushes and getting wasted.
And the solvent, yeah. Is he saying it's time for a break? Watson is such a good studio assistant. He's in charge of break time.
Okay, Watson, sit. Can you wave?
Can you wave? Oh, good boy. Good boy.
And back to work we go. I'm just speeding up the process here so that you can just watch quickly. I know this is going to take a while. It should take you a while at home to work your way through each color. But you do each color the same exact way as the first three. You just want to make sure your steps go incrementally, lightest to darkest, and also be checking the colors that have gone before. Oh, look at Casey's project. She's doing such a great job.
Thank you.
Yeah,
This is fun, but it does require some patience. So watching you do it, Naomi, you're very fluid. You can tell what would kind of works well together. So being new, I've had a hard time, had to be patient with it. So when I was doing this top color, and then the next down, as I got down to this one, it was a little easier to do. And then I started with this one again. And I noticed I had a hard time getting the color to blend, like to go lighter or opposite. So just, if it happens, just stay with it. Just, if you need to take a break, that's fine. I kind of stepped away from it and came back and realized this one was a little lighter, so I kept adding more primary to that, or that color to that, and just kind of worked my way down on my board here.
Yeah.
And then this color needed more white than I thought, so you might have to add more paint to your palette, but just keep working with it. And actually, when it does get there, you'll be like, oh, there we go, that works. So once I learned to trust that, then it was good. And a little tip I found, this might be kind of silly, but I would hold it like this and kind of look down
Here,
like
I'll
that
hold the
way.
camera like what you're saying.
So kind of look at it like it's coming this way. And can you see how it looks like a stair step?
Yeah, that's really
Kind
cool
of
effect. Has like an optical illusion kind of feel to it.
So when I had the color on here, I would kind of find myself kind of doing that with the light a little bit, like trying to see.
Trying to get the glare off of it.
Yes,
Yeah.
and then using the palette knife to like hold it up to the dark color and be like, okay, and this is where you helped me just to double check my work to make sure it wasn't too dark or light.
Yeah.
Coming down this way, and voila.
Yeah.
Took some time.
Yes.
But stay with it, take a break if you need, but it's worth it.
Yes. And so this is how far Casey got today.
Yep.
But she's going to come back and finish it probably next week, and we'll finish all the rest of the scale next week.
Yes.
So you can do it.
Yes, you can. Keep going.
How did it go today?
I learned a lot. It was exciting. This was fun.
Yes, so
Yes.
this is called a value scale. It'll be a helpful tool as we're moving forward in our painting. And so these can also be broken into light value, mid value, and dark value colors. So what you can do is just put a line between 6 and 7, a line between 3 and 4, and then just draw a little line here halfway and write light, mid, dark. And it'll help you keep that in mind as you're working with them later, because down the future we'll use those 3 building blocks to build our composition.
Okay.
But right now we're just focusing on color and how do we find our exact color, right? We started that last week when we were making our color wheel, and that got us through 2 of the 4 categories, right? Last week we learned about hue, where it falls around the outside.
Yep.
And you remember the other thing we learned?
The saturation.
Saturation, so how close to neutral or how bright it was. And so those 2 things got us halfway there. Then remember I said the next thing is value. So that's what we learned this week. So how we actually use this tool that we made to get the exact color. So let's say you're taking a paint swatch. You need a mix to find that paint swatch, right? So you first go around here. Well, let's say it's a salmon color. That's kind of in the orange range. And then let's say salmon is a little neutralized, so we'll bring it down here maybe 2/3 of the way. But then you need to find how light or dark it is. So you'll hold that paint swatch up to this neutral standard, right? And you squint your eyes and you hold the paint swatch and you keep moving it left and right till you find where it's a little too dark. And now the paint swatch will appear lighter than that color. You say, okay, that's too far dark. Then you move it to the right and you keep squinting your eyes till you see, oh, now my paint swatch looks too dark for this. Okay, now that's too far light. So you're zeroing in till you get to the middle of those. And that's what value your paint swatch will be. Okay? And then you'll come down here to like the red and yellow and find out how to mix it. How much white are you putting in there? Does that make sense? And after having made this, you kind of have a feel for it now, right?
Yes.
There's one more category that we have to know before we are able to actually mix the exact color, and that's color temperature, which is what we're going to talk about next week.
Okay.
So,
Sounds great.
yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, thank you. I hope you found value in today's lesson and learned a lot. If you did, please give us a like. That helps so much. So,
Thank you.
yeah, have a great day. Bye.
Hey, Watson.
What's your opinion? Huh? You like this grayscale? What do you think? Huh? You like it? You do? You think everyone did a good job? Oh, good job, everybody. Good job. Yes.